right, aloha. Welcome to another Aloha Friday drip. We're pumped to be back in office and recording some freaking golden content, and I'm pumped for what we're going to cover today. We actually talked about it and we can talk about it, but I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, no, Ty put together some things today that he wanted to share, and I read through some of these notes, and I'm excited about what we're going to go over today. Before we dive in, make sure if you haven't rated or reviewed the podcast yet that you go ahead and do that. Share it with those that you think could benefit from it. Everybody could benefit from the Growthcast, though, so share it to everybody.
This one today, yeah. All of them, all of Dallas's drips, all the extended cuts. Y'all, I listen to all those, by the way. And you know I do because I mention them all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's part of my routine, dude. But share them. I need to be better sharing them. I know.
I should share more. I share pretty often, but I should probably share more often as well.
Dude, I need to take my own medicine.
I know, dude. We should probably take our own advice
and make
there.
y'all a deal out there. I'll share if you'll share. We all share because we care. Let's wrap today.
Dude, you're in a great mood. You came in on fire today, brought the energy, and I'm excited about it. I love it. Yeah, and then we are on YouTube as well. If you prefer to watch the Growthcast, we are on YouTube. We don't really talk about that very often. I know we mention it here and there, but we are on YouTube. So if you'd rather watch, definitely jump on there and watch.
We'll put those links in. Dude, there was a comment. I should show you these comments. Yeah. There was a comment the other day on I think it was How to Gain Credibility, that episode. Somebody was like, this episode is fire. How this has 10 views or whatever it was, it was beyond me, man. And I was oh.
Love that support. That support from whoever said that. It's for real. But I also agree. I can't believe there's only 10 views. So definitely get on there, jump on there, give it a watch. I like to watch podcasts. I don't know. I'm a visual person.
Yeah,
so sometimes I'll take time in my evening time and I'll actually jump on and watch podcasts. I don't know. I engage a little bit better with them. So if you'd like to do that, definitely an option for our listeners. So Ty, today we're going to talk about a question that we got after the last Aloha Friday drip. Was talking about the fear of the upcoming market correction.
Yeah, so if you remember the last drip, we were, and I know you remember, I'm saying then we were in my house, and you would ask me how multifamily's affected my life, and one of the things that I had said was that it's removed my fear of the future. Yeah. And so then I get this comment, message, whatever, that was referencing the upcoming market correction, like you said, and they're like, so how does that not make you fearful? Like, there's an upcoming market correction. How does that not make you fearful? Almost like, it was almost like it wasn't a question, like, it was more of like you dipshit. How does it not make you fearful? Yeah. And it does. But your version of fear is different than my version of fear, right? I use that fear to heighten my senses, where I'm afraid to let a lot of people listening and a lot of people in general utilize that fear or use that fear to paralyze them instead. Yeah. So fear will either move you to greatness or hold you back from greatness, right? Like, take the fear of others for an example. I was talking to Strat. Strat is, helping us with recording and everything. And so fun to have them in office. I loved it. Yeah. It was awesome. And we were driving to go record some videos, and he had mentioned his first YouTube video that he had ever put out or something. Yeah. And he said one person commented. He had multiple comments, but one person commented, "You, sir, are an absolute idiot." And he's like, "And bro, I'm an 18-year-old kid. Yeah. I deleted that video immediately." And I was like, "Oh, dude, wow." And he's like, now obviously I get it. Yeah, like, there's probably some 8-year-old kid in there that was, writing in there.
Right.
But the fear of others is a big deal, right? For example, you build a business, people are going to attack you, take it down. Love, don't love, dude. Love will lead to hurt. Giving, that will only lead to being taken advantage of. But I believe, man, whatever we fear, that's where growth and happiness will be found. Whatever we fear, that's where growth and happiness will be found.
Elaborate on that a little more.
Fear isn't a bad thing, man. Our perception of fear is a bad thing. We fear something for a reason. Fear is an indicator. It's a tool. It helps us identify what we care about. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So for example, what does Strat care about? Let's use that example. Strat loves to produce content and post content. His fear of this rejection, somebody may look at it wrong, was holding him back. But by overcoming that fear, it got him to where he is, which he's freaking phenomenal at what he is. Business, for an example. I was terrified of it. What happened when I started posting my first advertising campaigns?
Yeah, there was some trolls trolling you for sure, definitely calling you names.
Remember, Britt comes in the kitchen. I've told this story multiple times because I never posted about what I did for this exact reason that we're talking about, fear. And all of a sudden, I'm doing these marketing campaigns, and Britt comes in the kitchen, and dude, I'm a happy person. And she comes in, she can tell my energy's not that
low.
She's
Yeah.
like, what is wrong? And I was like, dude, I just woke up to 17 go f yourselves in my Facebook comments. Like, what the shit, dude? And she was like, Tyler, who freaking cares, man? Like, who cares? Those are people chucking darts from the sidelines. They're not even in the arena, is what she said. Like, somebody in the space, they're giving you some feedback. Let's take that. But somebody who's just chucking darts from the side, that's on them. That's their problem. That's their insecurities. That's their whatever. And I was grateful for that. So ultimately, man, fear will lead us to greatness or, remove us from it, right? Yeah. So I prefer discomfort of growth over the illusion of safety. Growth comes from focusing on controllables, and illusion comes from just pretending all is well. So that comment that I got, how does this not make you fearful? I'm not just pretending like all is well. I'm very aware of what's happening within the market. I'm very aware. Don't have illusion, but I also know that growth doesn't come from just sitting back and pretending like everything's great, and it also doesn't come from freaking being paralyzed. Growth comes from focusing on controllables.
I love that you just said that. The illusion comes from pretending all is well.
Yeah.
That's what fear is. It's like a safety mechanism to pretend that everything's okay. No, dude, I love that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're not going to be able to obviously you're not going to be able to control the market. So maybe a better question to ask is, what can you control in a market correction?
And as a real estate investor, I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because no, you cannot control a market correction.
Yeah.
You can't. So here's the thing.
There's always so many variables in business, whatever it is that you're doing, dude, that you just can't control.
Totally.
There's going to be problems that pop up. No matter what we're talking about a market correction, we're talking very specific about real estate. But this is a principle that can be used across all business platforms, all platforms in general. If you're trying to accomplish something, there's going to be problems that come up that are out of your control.
But if you have illusion of safety, what you want to do is pretend like those problems won't come up. Right. That's a fixed mindset. As weird as that is, right? It's a fixed mindset because by identifying the problem, by identifying it, a fixed mindset believes that, well, they're stuck if that problem exists. So a growth mindset knows that there's going to be problems. They search for problems. And dude, once again, value creation leads to wealth creation, and problems, the most successful people I've ever studied have this unique ability to search for and solve problems. They literally search for problems to solve because it's highly valuable, which creates massive wealth. Unsuccessful people fucking run from problems all the time. And if there's a problem, I'm going to pretend like it's not there. I'm going to run from it. I want this illusion of safety. So, dude, there's problems, man, but there's only a number of things we can control with anything in our life. As a real estate investor, I bullet pointed a couple. One was education. The other was preparation. Our response and our mindset. And, we can start with education. Like, get educated on things, in any correction, operations are the difference maker. I was actually just talking to Ryan about this yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday. Operations, man. Operations are the difference maker. In a good market, dude, a shitty operator can ride that wave.
Yeah.
But in a correction, you need solid operating systems. So get educated all the time. Like, educated on business operating systems. What am I doing? Where am I flying out to on Saturday?
To be educated.
Spend a good grip of money.
A good grip of money.
To fly out to be educated for 2 days.
3 days, yeah.
Yeah. 2.5.
Yeah.
Why? Because, I want it. Education is key. Yeah. Education and implementation, obviously, which we'll talk about that. But man, operational systems, get education on what your buying criteria should be. What has your buying criteria been, and should it change? Why? Right? Ask those questions, right? Do you even have buying criteria? Or are you just grabbing whatever comes your way,
Right.
Identify it. Get educated on due diligence processes. What kind of due diligence should you be doing with a looming correction? What should you be looking for? What should you be aware of? Bad debt, offloading, really bad tenants on you. You know, they're struggling. If somebody's struggling, they're going to try to offer things, get lenient essentially, to be able to get tenants, make it look like it's better. So how do you identify that? That's your due diligence process, is get educated on it. But
Can I add one thing there
Please,
to education? One of the, I know we're going to talk about it because you bullet pointed it, but was mindset.
Yeah.
That's something you should always be studying.
Always.
Again, in any sense of business,
Yep.
especially multifamily, right? The company's named Multifamily Mindset for a reason, because mindset's so important when doing this business. But always educating yourself in one way or another, whether that's a book or a podcast you're always listening to, like always strengthening your mindset there as well in your education, as we're talking about education, is so crucial.
It's funny, man, because it's so crucial to the point where I don't have to build in times in my calendar to study mindset. I know how critical it is, and I study it all the time. I know the impact it's had on my life. What I have to carve out, and I love it. I'm like literally I'm passionate about it.
I know
Hopefully,
that. Yeah.
I'm also passionate about real estate, but I have to put times. You've seen them on my calendar. Real estate content study. I have to put it on my calendar to make it happen, because real estate is more of a microeconomic shit, is more of a, for me, more of a boring topic to study. But it's critical in the space that I'm in, so I have to study it.
Absolutely.
So, but mindset, no matter what business you're in, you should be studying mindset. And then you should also be studying the ins and outs of your business, staying on top of your business, right?
Yeah, totally. So that's really what I wanted to add there.
Love it, dude.
Was in the education, that mindset in conjunction to whatever it is that you're studying. It really like brings it all together.
It does bring it all together.
It brings
How
it all
to
together.
respond, which is one of the bullet points.
Yeah, and another thing that I just want to add here too is Ty maybe forgot to mention it here in the education part because he implements it every day. And as we're trying to pull gold nuggets out of these episodes, Ty is a great example of somebody who's really came from nothing to create quite a life for himself. And this is something that he is implemented where it's just like eating breakfast for you, studying mindset.
Oh yeah.
So it's just one of those things I really want to hound down on, is making sure that you're studying mindset every single day. And just to add on top of that is, as you're studying mindset, it's been such a huge thing for me too. You know that. It's changed my life.
Massive change in this dude's life over the last year and a half.
Yeah,
massive change.
Massive.
It's crazy.
Massive.
Dude.
And I owe a lot of it to mindset and studying that every day, and that everyday type of study.
Talk about it. Like literally, it wasn't me. No. It was who?
What do you mean?
That you surrounded yourself with in the very beginning that sparked all this.
Dal.
It was Dallas Pruitt, dude.
Yeah.
Dallas Pruitt, our mental training coach.
Yeah.
Bro.
Surrounded myself by him and really took on his teachings.
Yes.
I remember one time there was a phone call I had with Dallas. It was right after we actually recorded a podcast with you. And he kind of called me out a little bit, because I think he could tell that maybe I wasn't paying attention to his drips, because we talked about a topic on the extended cut and I didn't really add anything from the drip. So he called me out. He gave me a phone call. It was a very, very loving phone call.
Dude, part of the core values we talked about a couple weeks ago or whenever it was.
Yes. Dude, he called me and he goes, "Hey man, I appreciate everything you do for the podcast, producing, editing, make sure it gets published every week or every day. But I really need you to start listening to these episodes and start taking note and start implementing these things."
Yeah.
He didn't even say, "I need you to do that." He said, "It's going to benefit you so much more if you start listening and implementing those things." So it was about me. It was not about him.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that it has changed the trajectory of my life. It's changed my mental health. It's changed my relationships. Totally. It's huge. It's changed how I've done a business. I think you could probably attest to that. How like my work, how much more I've been able to get done since I've started really implementing these things. So I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I just want to reiterate the importance of mindset and studying it every single day. And back to how Ty does it every day. It's just part of his daily rituals and habits. And I know you benefit from it. You benefit from it. So that's an actionable that I'm going to throw out there in a challenge. If you're not educating yourself every single day on mindset principles that you need, all of us are at a different spot in mindset too, right? Dallas's daily drips are awesome. They get the day going for sure. But that's not where your mindset study should stop. Yeah. You should hone in on what it is that you need and study that and study that and study that and implement it in your business.
And then
all right, I'm done.
Yeah, implement it. Implement it. Meaning, like when something happens, just take a second to literally ask a better question of, you could even ask, how would Dallas respond to this?
Yeah.
How would somebody of Dallas's caliber respond to this? And then literally think and then respond in that way, right? Like, so educating yourself on your business and on your mindset, it's not a tangent, it's a fact. It needs to happen. So like, dude, for example, a lot of you maybe know this, maybe you don't know this, but Dallas is doing a mastermind where there'll be me, Dallas, Larry, Yatch, and you should do that. You should go there. I mean, not even a question, you should go there. Some of our most in fact, the people who have registered are our most successful students.
That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. No.
Not at all.
Oh.
Why? Because they recognize what the differences in their life has been. They recognize it. There's going to be one in Orlando, and the first thing you said is, I want to go there. Yeah. We work with and talk to Dallas all the time. But it's a different thing, man. Well, I want to be there, and I want to help, but I want to absorb it.
Yep. I want to learn.
Anyway,
I want to learn it better. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for entertaining me there, dude. Because I just feel it's so important. And I know we'll talk about mindset here in a minute too. But okay, so we talked about education. The second thing was preparation that you talked about. Let's dive in there.
Preparation or forecasting, if you will, right? Being proactive instead of reactive. Like, so literally what I used to do is everything that I was giving people shit for before, which is just be this illusion of safety, right? No, dude, take a second. This is where people, reading the book right now, Stillness is the Key. And it's a great book, but it is a hard thing to do, myself included. And I was on a coaching call, getting educated. Shit, there we go. Tying it in on a coaching call a couple weeks ago. And they talked about, this is a business coaching call. So they're talking about as a CEO, what you need to be doing. And if this is happening, it's because you're not doing X, Y, Z. And it was freaking eye-opening to me, dude. It was eye-opening to me. And one of them is to just literally think through things. Like, take some seconds of quietness. And you see me do that in my office where I'll meditate, but I need to do that more than I do in the position that I am. Like, think through things. And by doing that, and what I mean by that is, like, I'll literally list out everything that could go wrong. So here's your actionable, okay? You're worried about a market correction. You're worried about the future market correction. List out everything. Don't hide from it. Don't run from it. Don't think that literally grab a whiteboard, grab a piece of paper, whatever, and just think it out. Write that mother effer out.
Everything that scares you.
Everything that you think could go wrong.
Okay.
Literally list everything that could go wrong. Yeah. And then take that list and identify those things that are actually within your control. So identify them, circle them, underline, wherever you're putting them, right?
Cross out the ones that aren't.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that's step 2. So step 1 is listing everything out, anything that could go wrong. Right. Step 2 is identify things that you can actually control, the controllables. Step 3 is anything that you can't control, erase it. Erase it. Anything that is a controllable gets a plan. So you circle it, you put a plan in place. Anything that is not a controllable fucking gets erased. You can't control it, dude. Control what we can control, ignore everything else, right? So to be excellent, we have to focus on the right details. This world is a world of there's a lot that will demand your attention. So you have to be so freaking dialed on what should really get your attention. So once again, to be excellent at anything, we have to focus on the right details. And, I guess the better question, how do you do that? How do you focus on the right details, right? Well, I believe the key distinction to focusing on the right details is to actually identify the ones that you can control. Whatever you can control, that's the right detail. So once again, identify what you can control and then take the time to put a plan in place. If this, then what? If this, then what? If this happens, how can I do this? The best way to solve a problem is to prevent a problem. So what can I do now to make sure that if this happens, it isn't a problem? And what can I do that if this thing does come into play, how can I pivot, right? Be mobile. Yeah.
Dude, I love it. I wanted to ask one question that popped up while you were talking about this. You talked about working on the things that you control, working on the things that you can control, working on those things that are in your control and in your power to be able to take down and handle. Yep. What does I'm kind of digging here, but what does that do for you when you are actually only focusing on the things you can control?
Confidence, belief, energy.
Yep.
Like there's clarity, dude. There's so much energy and clarity. When you identify it, get it out on paper. Dallas says on paper on purpose. Why is that happen? Because when you get it out on paper and you put a plan in, well, now what happens to that fear? That fear does not become debilitating. That fear becomes energizing and powerful.
Yes.
Because you have a plan, man.
Yeah.
You have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it becomes powerful and energizing, and then what you do is you can make progress instead of being stalled. And I believe that there is a cost of inaction. So if you're really, you're either moving forward or moving backwards,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if you are moving backwards, that's because you're not taking action. The
Right.
key to creation is to take action. You have to take action. So what does that do for me? That puts me in a position to help me take better actions. And when we take better actions, we get dopamine hits. And dopamine is nature's way of saying, yes, more of that.
Good
Give
job.
me more of that.
Yep. Yep.
Which, if you think about that, that means that we literally get more dopamine released on the pursuit of something great than we actually do by accomplishing that great thing. Which means, maybe that means that greatness is really achieved by pursuing great things, not even necessarily achieving those great things. And don't get me wrong, we want to achieve those things.
Sure.
But I believe part of having a growth mindset is being process-oriented instead of just results-oriented. If you focus on the process, the result is inevitable. Part of the process is identifying what you can control. That literally is the process. What can you control? So.
Awesome answer. Awesome answer.
Thanks.
Awesome answer. I just want to maybe add a different perspective here on when we focus on the things that we can control. It, like you said, it gets so much more clear. It gets rid of all the cloud. It gets rid of. It really helps get rid of all those worries that you had initially.
Yeah.
You know, when you're taking action and working towards the things that you can control and that you can fix, that you can handle, it totally eliminates the worry of all those other things that you can.
Totally,
Because you
dude.
know you're doing what you can do, and because you're doing what you can do, you're actually gaining momentum, right? We talk about how once you set your intentions, the universe kind of helps you make sure you kind of shows you ways on how you can get that done.
Yeah.
Same exact thing here.
Bro,
Is
great.
When you list it out, and you start taking action towards those things, you're going to be able to knock those things out and really be in control of what you can control.
Totally, dude.
So that's what I wanted to add there. Is it's helped me a ton. It's another mindset principle too.
So good, man. There's so much I've said this before, but it's very rarely the work that wears us out. It's the doubt and it's the uncertainty and all that lingering fear that you haven't identified and then erased. You have to identify it before you can erase it, or else it'll linger. Lingerer. Do you know the quote, the movie quote?
Man, I don't. I'm so bad with movie quotes, dude.
Lingerer. Give me a comment in the show notes if you know.
You're not going to say. You're not going to tell me.
Pineapple Express is the best movie in the world. Okay? But we have to identify it and remove it. And there's so much energy and clarity. Once again, it's rarely the work that tires us out. It's that doubt and uncertainty. I love that, bro.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for answering that, and thank you for diving in deep there. Let's jump on to number 3 that you talked about, which was mindset.
And we did, we riff on mindset all the time, right? So it's because it's just, dude, mindset's everything, man. Mindset's everything. I have this, I got this Yeti cup, I guess, I don't know, mug that, says Multifamily Mindset. But on my other Yeti one in there, it says mindset is everything. And Dallas will say mindset isn't everything, but it impacts everything. And my rebuttal to that would be, which means mindset is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like literally it impacts everything. Like he says, mindset changes our outlook on life. So is a correction for example, is a correction a bad thing or a great thing? Well, it depends on our mindset. It depends on what we're focusing on, right? So by taking each situation and we reframe that to one of power, right, to something that we can control. So what we do is we begin to take these control of the circumstances, right? By doing what we did earlier, identifying everything, focusing on what we can control. And now we all of a sudden reframe that to a situation of power. Now all of a sudden we take what we can control, the circumstances that we can control, instead of being a victim of circumstance. We begin to control the circumstance. So changing our outlook from this victim to the creator, that shift is huge. That shift allows us to take control of our life. Right?
Yeah, man. And what you're talking about is extreme ownership.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just taking ownership of whatever it is that you can control.
Yeah,
Stop worrying about the other stuff. Control what you can control. And I love how you said it puts you in that position of power.
Yeah.
To be in control of what you can control. And you're not the victim anymore at that point.
Yep.
You're the one that's in charge of whatever circumstances may be.
I took the victim route a lot.
I think a lot of people do, dude. I think a lot of people do because it's comfortable. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the normal thing to do is poor me, pity me, or you know what I mean? I think that's normal. But it's one of those things that you gotta correct for sure. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you didn't interrupt. No, I'm literally thinking as you're talking because it's just true. It's funny you say it's ownership because that's exactly what it is. It's one of the most empowering mindset principles, especially during challenges. Taking control of everything when shit's going good. Well, okay,
that's easy.
That's easy.
Yeah, you're looking for credit at that point.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But when things are challenging, it's so easy to play the victim. But that shift, once again, man, that shift allows us to just take control of our life. How we view and perceive and react to everything life throws our way, that control changes us to our core. So like when we believe to our freaking core, dude, that we're in control of how we view and react to each situation, our daily actions inevitably change at that point because we're taking action instead of being fearful to take action, and daily actions will determine our destiny.
And this is so like loving that we're going over this because it is so powerful and so true. Man, let's move on. Let's go on to the next thing. I've said enough.
I'm going to say one more thing though.
Yeah.
Because just clarify this one more thing. Mindset changes our outlook on life, right? And this will lead into the next one. Here's why I want to say this. Mindset changes our outlook on life, but the daily actions that we take, those daily actions that follow that outlook, that's what changes your life. You can have a great mindset with no action and your life will not change. That's why the next bullet point, which is, our responses, that's why it's so critical, right? Like mindset changes our outlook on life, but the daily actions that follow that outlook changes our life. The actions are key. So
I love it, dude. Okay. No, so true. Okay, response. We just talked a little bit about it. Actions are key. What else do you want to share there regarding how you respond or your response?
Your preparation, the things we've covered, right? Yeah. Your education, your preparation, your mindset, they are key to how you'll respond. This is why I put this one last. A lot of times you would think you would put it first, right? How do you respond? Well, dude, if you're truly being proactive, you're responding being proactive, not reactive, right? Yeah. So your response is key, but you're responding before you even get to this response level because you're being proactive, right? Yeah. So that preparation and everything, it's what allows us to have mobility. We have to have mobility to be able to respond properly, and the key to mobility is stability. Gray said that the other day. I loved it. He said, the key to mobility is stability. And I was like, man, that's a great point. Like you look at moving your body. Yeah. If you're going to be movable, well, your body you have to be in control of your body is what he's saying. Nobody ever said, and if you remember this, he said, nobody ever said, man, I have too much control of my body right now. Yeah. But the key to that is stability, your foundation, education, mindset, preparation. That's your foundation. And with a solid foundation, you're now in a position to respond correctly.
Dude, I love this. I love how you worded that. And as you were saying it, something popped into my mind is these other three principles that we've gone over. You're responding by doing those things.
Yeah.
So the way that you want to respond is to always be responding.
Yes, dude.
Always,
that's a great point,
you know what I mean? Always be responding. Always be doing these things. So you're literally always preparing for a response for when a problem does pop up or a difficulty does come because you don't know when they happen. A lot of times, sorry, dude,
you got me fired over here.
I'm going here, dude.
It's perfect.
But a lot of times, a problem will pop up that you didn't see coming. Obviously, we're always trying to we're trying to. But a lot of times, there's problems that pop up that you don't see coming. So by doing these other principles, let me just read them off one more time. By educating yourself, preparing and forecasting, and by having the correct mindset, you already are responding to these problems that haven't even happened yet, which I think is huge.
I love that. So there's your actionable for those of you who are listening. You're thinking that you maybe need to wait to take action to respond.
No.
No.
This is the opposite of
Right
that.
now.
Yeah.
You should be responding right now. If you're waiting to respond until the event happens, you're too late. Mm-hmm. You're too late.
Like imagine a problem pops up and then you're like, all right, let me go educate myself on how to fix this problem. Let me get my mind. Dude, the problem's already destroyed everything by the time that happens. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So by always doing these things daily, like we're talking about, you're ready for these problems.
You're ready to respond. And your power to respond is ultimately your power to create.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that, dude, because your power to respond is ultimately your power to create. Your power to respond is ultimately your power to create. And I'll relate that to COVID, dude. Yeah. COVID happens. If I would have been waiting to then educate, I had been preparing for some sort of a correction. COVID was, nobody expected COVID, but I had been waiting for a correction since I started into the multifamily business. I had been. And so, what happened in March, March of 2020, that's when I freaking went gangbusters. I didn't wait. I didn't wait to be like somebody being like, okay, now's the time. Go ahead. Fuck, we dove in, dude. Yeah. And that response, the reason that your power to respond is ultimately your power to create is because that response sets off this chain reaction that leads to other events and responses. So how you respond will lead to a chain of events that will also lead to other responses and other, events, because your responses are going to obviously determine your outcome. Yeah. The event doesn't determine the outcome. It's event plus response equals the outcome. In other words, it's what I just said. It's not the event that creates the outcome. It's our response to that event. Yeah. We also have to be committed enough to respond, though. It's a big one. Yeah. We have to be committed enough to respond, because what happens to a lot of people, I believe, when an event happens, let's say they do get blindsided, because once again, dude, this is why mindset is something you should always be studying, because you can try to prepare for everything. You will not be prepared for everything. It's just a fact, dude. Understand that you're not going to be. But if you are prepared mindset-wise, you've been studying that religiously, then you'll have the power to respond. And what will happen? You'll be committed to responding. Because why? Because you've set this identity that you're the person who thrives in uncertainty. You're the person who thrives in chaos. That's your identity. That's your mindset. And you look at this challenge as actually a freaking gigantic blessing, dude. A huge blessing. So you have to have discipline and passion and confidence and persistence and resiliency and competitiveness and coachability and growth mindset and humility, all those kind of things to actually respond. If not, if you're not dedicated, you're not passionate about it, you're not resilient, you will not respond, dude. You'll shrink like 99% of the world out there shrinks.
Yeah, man. So powerful. If you weren't paying attention, definitely go back and listen to that last part.
Agreed.
So powerful. One of the things that you said as we've been building these companies, right? I've been around with you since the Multifamily Mindset started. And one of the things that as we've gone through these building process and you've made some of these bigger decisions, there's always this thing that you say no decision is finite.
Yeah.
No problem is finite. You know what I mean? And that's just one of these little nuggets I've learned from you that's really changed the way that I think is no decision is finite. No problem that could pop up is finite if you have the right response to it.
I love it.
I loved how you said event plus response equals the outcome.
Yeah.
COVID didn't phase multifamily capital partners.
Oh,
we acquired
enhanced.
more. We acquired more during that time.
Everything. Yeah.
So it's how you respond to those things that's going to equal that outcome. That's just something I wanted to pull out of there.
Think about that. I love that, bro. Because if you think about that, what if you believed that a recession, a correction was actually your friend? What if you believed that? Okay, Tony Robbins has this, I think he calls it the success cycle or something. And the success cycle has your potential, and then it has action, then it has result, potential, action, result, and then belief, okay? So what's the potential of any human being? Infinite. But do their results actually represent that? No, because they take very little action. So in order for us to get a result, we have to take action. But just because we take action doesn't mean that we're going to get massive results. Why? Because of our belief. If we have a belief that a recession is a bad thing, then what will we do? We will take very little action. We'll get very little results. And that will also,
It will be a bad thing.
and our belief will be justified that it's a bad thing.
Right.
And our potential will decrease. So but on the flip side of that, what if you believed that a recession or correction was actually your friend? The potential of a correction was your friend. You would take massive action. You would get massive results, and your belief would enhance massively. One of the things that you just said there when we, how it enhanced multifamily capital partners, COVID enhanced me as a person. Why? How did it enhance me as a person? Because in uncertainty, I believed that uncertainty was an opportunity. And I took massive action, and I saw massive results, and my belief in myself as a person, bro, increased a lot. And you cannot put a price tag on that. And I think that the reason that I get almost like emotional about that is because I look at this uncertainty that is looming right now that everyone talks about all the time. And I have been... It's a weird thing, bro. When things are going great, and things have been going great, I almost get uncomfortable when things are going great. I get uncomfortable because I never want to be comfortable. And when things are going great, dude, it's very easy to get comfortable. Yeah. So I look at this. We just had to move our operations. Why do I say that? Because it's the right decision. It's the right decision. It was a massive action that we needed to take as a company. It was the right decision. And when we made that decision, I remember laying in bed thinking, "Oh my God, dude! Like why? Like what did I do? Could I have forecasted something to? Should we have started there? Because we thought about starting there even in the beginning, and we didn't. And so I was like, beating myself up a little bit. But then I was like, hold on. No, dude, this is a challenge. This is a test. How we respond to this test. And why do I have that belief? Because of what I've experienced in my life and overcoming challenges, bro. Yeah. COVID's one. I've experienced a lot of challenges. All of us have. Sure. And all of a sudden I got this just freaking energized, dude, of like, no, this is a challenge, and how we respond to this challenge will determine, man, our legacy, my legacy, our legacy. Like, and I remember sending a video and being like, let's fucking go, dude. You kidding me? This is awesome thing. Yes, it's a challenge, and challenges are a blessing, dude. So my last thing that I'll say on that, man, is when you start facing challenges and your belief starts to shrink, remember to focus, maintain single point focus. Single point focus is focusing only on the things that matter now and saving everything else to a later date. And if you do that, you'll learn to make small corrections, and those small corrections that turn those challenges into massive blessings.
So powerful. So powerful. As you were going through this and as you were talking about that, it reminded me of Dallas's principle of life happens to you, not for you. Or happens for you, not to you.
Yeah. There you
Sorry,
go.
I said it backwards.
Yeah. I was just agreeing.
I seem like I always say things backwards when we're recording. Life happens for you, not to you.
Yes.
Right? These challenges and things that'll pop up. You talked
That's
about
a mindset.
Yeah, exactly. You talked about the one moving to Florida. You took that as an opportunity to grow, to challenge yourself. That was happening in life for you to make something better rather than to you.
Yep.
So it's just a good reminder, dude. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, dude.
Thank you for leading me down there, man.
So you do feel that there's a correction. There will be a correction coming. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be a correction at some point in real estate.
Market cycles.
What can people do to prepare?
So I'll say this, man. I know this. I don't know how long we've been going, but I know we've been going for a long time. But the probability of a recession over the next couple of years is definitely elevated. But a recession is different than a correction. Okay, correction historically, go study market cycles, man. A correction historically happens every 12, 15 years. A recession will happen historically every 30-something years. That doesn't mean that that's concrete, obviously, but just understand recessions are a normal thing, I guess. Corrections are a normal thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right?
12 years.
Totally. But commercial real estate, dude, is one of the best places to be during economic uncertainty. So let's go back to COVID as an example. Coming out of COVID, multifamily was like this golden child. And you think about it, people were nervous about multifamily. One of the spaces they were most nervous about. Why? Because there was an eviction moratorium. People didn't have to pay their rent. But the flip side happened. it became this golden child because people knew more than ever how important it was to keep a roof over their head. More than ever. That's why demand has increased so much. It's not that there's just more people. It's not population growth that's done it. People all of a sudden having shitloads of babies that all of a sudden are now forming households. No. It's that these people that were slow to form households are forming households at a record pace, man. There was also pent-up household formation because there wasn't any jobs for these young adults to go to over 2020. But in 2021, those jobs started. We had record job growth, and those young adults started to form households. And so COVID essentially heightened everyone's senses of, man, I want a roof over my head. Yeah, heightened my senses. I'd been renting for a long time, and finally I'm like, shit, you're right, Brett. Let's buy. Let's do it, Let's just freaking go. And it had nothing to do with rent raises or any of that shit. Nothing. It had to do with, dude, we're in a position now where we can, and we bought a couple homes, But you know what's funny about that? You know how last drip we talked about we talked about Ferraris or whatever in the garage isn't my MO. And a Ferrari is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, dude. But I'm obsessed with assets that exceed liabilities. And so Brittany's car, to put this into perspective, my wife's car is a Chevy Tahoe that has a side panel missing. The light is busted. The front passenger seat went forward, the motor broke, and so nobody can sit in the front passenger seat. That's my wife's car.
What happened to the tail light last night?
It was a little cracked, and I pushed it, and then it busted. My wife, though, could give two shit. Oh, another thing.
Yeah.
The beeper
the clicker
doesn't
broken.
work.
Yeah.
So Marley got into my truck the other day, and she's like, how come your truck doesn't honk like Mom's does? Because when she opens the car with a key, like a freaking pilgrim, she has to open the car with a key, the honker goes off, and then she has to get in and start it so the honker goes, the horn stops.
Yeah.
That's my wife's car. Well, last night I'm telling her, babe, after this headlight or the tail light incident.
After you busted the tail light.
Yes, I'm like, Britt, what is going on with your car? We need to get you a different car. And she's like, Tyler, no, I do not care about my car. I'm fine with my car. I do not want another car. No, I do not. Tyler, we need to put money into assets, not liabilities. We just bought a big old house, 2 of them actually. Those are liabilities. No, I don't want a car. I want more assets. Let's go do that. And I was like, God, get in here, B. That's speaking my love language, It was awesome. But I'm still buying our car. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a ton of capital. A couple things, we'll wrap this up. But there's a couple data points, I guess, okay? There is tons of capital to be placed right now. Do you 40% of the world's currency, 40% of all the world's currency was been created over the last 2 years. There's massive liquidity needs, liquidity. It's a problem. People need to put their money into something instead of keeping it liquid. They need to put it into assets. That obviously impacts multifamily. So yes, the Fed is increasing rates, and people are nervous that as they increase interest rates, that cap rates will follow. And historically, if you look at this, yes, when the Fed increases rates, interest rates, cap rates follow, but not the same path. Meaning not at the same rate. Not at the same rate. Go back and look historically. As the Fed increases, yes, cap rates will eventually, but not at the same pace, which means, dude, I don't believe that cap rates are going to all of a sudden get higher. And for the record out there, if you don't know, the higher the cap rate, the lower the purchase price, which means I don't believe purchase prices are going to drop. Why? Because there's massive liquidity needs. People also want to be in multifamily right now because of the safety in it. Stock market, Bitcoin, get the fuck out of here. I want to be in multifamily that has stability. So what does that do? That increases competition in multifamily. Some of you may be, well, competition is a bad thing. No, it's not, man. Competition is a great thing if you know how to compete. Just learn how to compete, what to do there, how to compete. And how do you do that? All the shit we just talked about, man. Preparation, education, mindset, response. There's also affordable housing needs, man. There's approximately, depending on what you read, 5 to 7 million affordable housing units that are needed to correct this need for affordable housing. And I put one comparison bullet point in there, which is in 2010, vacancy dropped from 11.4% to 9.7%, okay? that equated to roughly 2 million units being absorbed. We have 5 million to 7 million, once again, depending on what you read, units that need to be, there's a huge need for multifamily. There's just a huge need. So I'll wrap this up with this, okay? Because I know we're late, but where I believe people get in trouble in a correction or in a recession and lose properties, people lose properties because they overpay for deals. They have lack of training, which is one of the reasons maybe they overpay for deals. Maybe they don't have business systems in place, operational systems. And I want to backtrack a little bit. Overpaying for deals does not mean that you just pay for a high cap rate. There's far more that comes into than just cap rates. Do you know what it comes into? Understanding how to forecast, but forecasting conservatively. Truly understanding how to solve a problem and what that looks like. It's forecasting like we talked about. Another way that people get in trouble is the lack of the commitment that we talked about earlier. They get lazy. There's oversight. There's ignorance. So don't have those things. Focus on the things that we can control, the things that we can do, man. And understand that this time is a blessing, dude. It's a blessing.
Man. So I loved how you threw in there at the end the lazy oversight and ignorance, because at the very beginning you talked about how things are going really good right now. Mm-hmm. And that's when that creeps in, is that laziness and the oversight and the ignorance.
It's easy.
Is when things are good. So it's just to kind of wrap up as we're wrapping up here, as we go into the Hawaiian value, is to implement these things now when things are good, right now. When things are moving the way you need them to and the way you want them to move. Implement these 4 things. I just want to review them one more time. Educate yourself, prepare, how you respond to said problems, and your mindset. Work on those 4 things now, when things are good, when you're educating yourself, when you're acquiring these properties, so when problems do pop up, you're ready.
And when those problems come up, you'll be able to respond, react with the Hawaiian value, which is Makoa.
Okay.
Makoa, which means, I hope I pronounce it.
Yeah, I mean, you picked an easy one this week.
It's easier, which means fearless, courageous, aggressive. So in a recession, in a correction, I should be fearless, courageous, and aggressive? Absolutely, dude. Safe, I've mentioned this before, but safe is actually risky. If I would have played it safe when I found out I was going to become a dad, I would undoubtedly be stuck in a 9-to-5 job. I did not play it safe. I dove full force into creating businesses, and improving myself, man. I didn't play it safe in that realm, dude. I went the opposite route of that, and that clarity. And having kids in a family isn't a life hack, but my gosh, man, it certainly brings clarity and support and beautiful thing. But if I would have played it safe, I know that I'd be stuck in this unfulfilling job, whatever that would be. Life, dude. If I would have played it safe when everyone was quarantining and binging on Netflix, watching Tiger King and shit, and talking about how uncertain the future was, we would never be where we're at right now. We would not be there. We didn't do that, dude. So don't play it safe, man. Momentum is never the result of playing it safe. If you want momentum, live Makoa instead, man. And live always with aloha. Peace.